Ladies and gentlemen, we saw the final of championship European artistic billiard party between Mr. Yaman, Turkish, versus Mr. Heinrich, Dutch.
Hello everybody, thanks for joining in. We're looking at the final of the 2023 European Championships of Artistic Billiards. I am one of your hosts, Job de Jong from the Netherlands, and next to me is
David Keller.
David Keller from Hungary. He is a three-time national champion from Hungary. Fourth time?
Four times.
Four
Four times, the current one. And Job, you are five-time champion, is that correct?
Yes, five-time champion indeed. And we're looking at Yaman, who I don't know if he won the leg, but he is starting with figure 33, which is a draw shot. One of the only shots actually that doesn't require a lot of effect. Just one tip below the center, and to make all the balls carom within a quarter circle that you can see lined up now in your lower left corner.
Yeah, and the difficulty of this shot is basically to hit it with a lot of speed so that the second ball can travel 5 cushions and come to the gather zone. And while you do that, to have as little spin as possible on the white ball, on the cue ball.
Indeed.
The difficulty coefficient is 5 points, as you can see on top of the screen, which is the lowest amount in the sport of artistic billiards. Points are being given from 5 to 10. 10 being the most difficult ones usually. Yaman scored 5 points, and now it's Heinrich's turn.
Yes, and you'll see that Heinrich had a good pace on the yellow ball, so good speed there. Only he hit it too far on the right side, so he tries to adjust it to hit it right in the middle, right at the center.
Now he made the carom, but it was so fast that it went out of the gathering zone, so he immediately knew he's not going to get the points and touched the ball, which is basically end of the try or the attempt. Now for his third and last try, because in the sport of artistic billiards you have for every figure, since they're so difficult, 3 attempts, and in the current playing format the number of attempts you need is not that relevant. It's about the number of points you gather. So far the red stayed in, white made the carom, and yellow arrived, so both players have 5 points after the first figure. Yeah, that's a nice figure to start the match with. It's fairly good to feel the table, even though each player has 5 minutes at the beginning. But it says a lot on how the table plays and how the balls roll.
Now we're looking at figure 40 for 8 points, so we go up in coefficiently. And oh, there he made it. He just made it out of the kiss.
Beautiful shot.
Beautiful shot. I did wanted to explain how the shot went, but I saw that that Yaman did it way better than I could do with talking with words.
And he was super fast and made it on the first attempt. This is speaking of confidence.
Yeah.
As you can see from the replay and from the lines that have been drawn, the goal here is to get the 8 points, to hit the left rail.
Oh.
First the left long rail, which is on top now, then the right long rail for certainty, and then coming from the short for the red ball. You can hit the short cushion multiple times before that. It's not a foul. but you gotta come from long short before the red. Let's see how he does.
Oh, that looks very good.
Fast.
Very good, very fast. Yeah, and I know how good Marvin plays this shot because I just lost from him this morning in the quarterfinals, and we actually played the same sets as they're playing now. So that could be a little advantage for Marvin there, only if it were on the same tables that we were playing in this morning. Especially for this final, they drew the whole 100 figures yet again on the table that you'll see right now, because well, it's good that we'll see the final here in the main stage of this beautiful beautiful location here in Antalya.
That's correct. And coming up to the next shot, which is being set up now by our referees, figure number 48. It is a masse shot requiring 3 cushions before the contact for with a difficulty of 7 points. And basically the cue ball needs to hit the yellow ball, then touch the long cushion, curve around the red ball, the short cushion, and mandatory for a 3 cushion shot, the long cushion again before caroming into the ball. And the difficulty is to control the curve in a smooth way to really make that last cushion just before the red ball. That target is very small. Let's see how he does. First attempt for Yaman. Went too far, couldn't turn back again before the red ball and hit it directly. So this is something he needs to adjust for in his second try.
Yeah, and he can adjust in 2 ways. He can either play his cue more steeply, so the ball has less speed but more effect, or he just plays it a little softer.
Yes, it just made the red ball.
He did play it softer. And as you can see why both of these players are truly grandmasters, it's because they can adjust every attempt down to an inch almost. Beautiful to see how you can really almost feel them think while they're playing to adjust the shots perfectly. Now Marvin on his first attempt.
And both players kneel on the table here, because for most mache shots in other carom sports, you usually only see the hand. Oh wow.
Oh wow, first attempt.
Yeah, very confident. So they only use the left hand, or the non-playing hand, basically. And here with the knee or the thigh, you can fixate a longer bridge, which is sometimes necessary to generate that much power and spin for these very demanding shots.
Yeah.
Now we continue with another masse, which is even harder, as the coefficient goes up to 9 points. The objective is white ball hitting the yellow ball, and then long rail, a third time the same long rail, and then coming back to the red ball. And what you also need to take care of is having the yellow ball going out of your way, because it might come back or it might not leave the zone at all. So you need to create the space to make the carom. Let's see. Yaman, first attempt.
Oh.
And the ball. Beautiful.
Even hit it an extra short rail there. Yeah, you'll see them both grabbing their short cues, known almost in the artistic billiard world. That's a thing that most people recognize when you talk about artistic billiards. They either talk about the short cue or the pin on the table. You haven't seen it on the shot yet, but you will see it in the next set. And the short cue is heavier and more sturdier than other cues because it's very demanding.
Yes, for the cushions and the carom. Wonderful. They both show a pretty confident start here. 3 out of 3, 4 out of 4, sorry. 4 out of 4 figures for both of them.
Yeah. And just when I said that those shots are very demanding, you'll just see them do it like it's nothing. Well, down to our next shot, figure number 5. This is a draw shot, which has to go 2 times on the long cushion, and then the short cushion, and then to the red ball. Of course, none of these shots are close to easy, but this shot, yes, made it again on his first attempt, and this shot is a shot that you truly want to make in a final. Of course, you want to make every shot, but this is an expensive one to miss.
Yeah, most high-level players will get it. When you start out with artistic, this is one of the first ones that you are able to solve.
Yeah.
And that's a miscue, but I'm fairly certain that Heinrich is in a form that he will be able to correct it in the second or third try.
Yeah. Yeah, and also the miscues. As I said before, that you are so demanding of the cue ball, and you're really on the miscue edge of the ball. So it's very common that you miscue in a game of artistic billiards. They're long, short, beautifully played.
They are both at 34 so far. The distance being played in the final is 35 figures, and whoever gets the most or gets an advantage that cannot be recouped by your opponent wins. And in case you're wondering what if they tie, then there's a tie break. And it will continue until one figure is being solved by one of the players and missed by the other.
Have you seen a tie break this tournament yet, David?
I have not. This European Championship, I don't think that happened. In the last one in Spain and Gandia, I recall having at least seen one. It's very exciting because then you don't get any breaks anymore and you are on the edge of your nerves, just like in tennis. You gotta keep going on. There it is again. This is not playing bad. It's being on the limit of possibilities. And everybody is human, even Hachiara. And
even Hara, yeah.
So if there's a margin for error for every player. If there wasn't one, then they would play 100% and the game would be boring. But then also in snooker, everybody would make a 147 every rack, and
in in darts, everyone would make a 9-darter.
Yeah.
But this shot is a shot, and I don't think there is any player who makes this shot fairly consistently. Of course, both of these players, you'll see, they are very good at the shot. But unlike the shot just before this is always a shot that can win you the edge of the match or lose you the match.
Yeah, the reason is that it has, instead of 5 like the one before, it has 9 points. And the distance that you need to hit it with precision. You hit the second ball with precision. And you need to hit lower left to go to the long rail and then to the short rail and then to the red. You don't need the third rail though.
Oof,
that looks good.
Yes. Right to the first diamond.
9 points for Yaman.
And you see him walking back to his chair, cool, calm, and collected as always.
Yeah, not the emotional guy. As we all know.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to see him back on the table because he didn't play for how many years?
I don't know the exact number, but he was out of international competitions for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, maybe even longer.
And then the president invited him back that he should try his best.
Really?
Yeah,
is that the story?
I just talked to him like a half an hour ago. I caught him here in the venue.
How interesting.
And of course, he started his comeback in Mannheim with a very strong third place.
Yeah.
No, a final. He played the final, sorry.
Yeah, I think you mean Rosmalen.
Rosmalen,
Yes,
was
yeah,
Rosmalen was
he
the third place at the beginning
No.
of last year, and the second was then in Mannheim.
Yeah. Well, in Rosmalen actually he won.
He won in
Yeah,
Rosmalen.
yeah. Yeah, and I got the honor to play to him in the semi-final, and even though I played one of my best matches ever, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And when we say good matches in artistic billiards, then we often talk in percentage-wise.
Percentage means the number of points possible for a given match and the number of points made, and that gives you how good you were. And in this instance, Heinrich had to sit down without making a point, so this is the first miss. Now advantage Yaman, but it's still early.
Yeah, and it's not a shame to miss this shot. The thing is, though, you saw him. He actually made the figure. He drew it back to the long cushion and to the short cushion, but he hit it with a kiss. And artistic billiards is the only billiards game where you're not allowed to make shots with a kiss. All right, what we'll see here is the last shot was hard, but this shot is definitely hard. This is the least made shot out of every 100 figures there are.
That's so true.
Yeah.
It's the weakness for most players.
Oh, and there you'll see why. The shot needs so much force follow. You need to hit it straight in the middle, short, long, and then you have to avoid the yellow ball as well.
Yeah, the repetition of the cushions in this case is very fixed, so it needs to start with the short cushion. It's not enough to have just 4 rails, and you need to avoid the kiss with that much power. It's basically the edge of the possibilities, because if you, let's see what he does. No repetition of the cushions, because you cannot hit it super hard, because then what might happen is that the second ball, the yellow ball, jumps out of the table because of the force.
Frequently.
So you need to be right at the edge of possibilities.
Yeah, and this is one of the few shots that you can't make it when you're lucky. All right, let's see what he does here.
Nope.
Oh, he just hit the long cushion first.
Well, this is a great opportunity for Heinrich to come back now.
Yeah, he made this shot actually against me in his first attempt. That was really something to see, because you don't always expect your opponent to make the shot, and he has a great stroke for this shot.
Yeah, he hits it with such force and such spin.
Yeah,
it's amazing to watch. I've seen him made it as well. And there goes the yellow ball.
yeah, there you see it again. It's an incredible shot. It's even harder to make it on a pool table.
It is, because the cloth is thicker. So let's see what the second attempt of Marvin brings.
Oh,
That's also one way to lose an attempt, which is very costly, because you don't get feedback off the table. You cannot really correct it, besides hitting it harder, of course. But that's us joking.
I had to shut off my mic there for that horrible joke, David.
I'm sorry. No, he started with the wrong cushion on this one, so he's not using the opportunity. 9-point lead still for Yaman, going into a much easier figure, numbered 93. And Marvin needs to compose himself, and we'll see. Now the referees are setting up the next shot. This is the first one we'll see with the imposed limit. As you can see right there, the red colored metal limit.
Pin, I called it.
Yeah, it's a pin. We can call it a pin. There you can see it on the diagram. Cue ball hits the yellow ball, curves around the pin, short rail, long rail, and then the red ball. It's 5 points. The real difficulty here is not really the draw or the spin, even though everybody hits lower right, but to make the curve, the right angle around the pin, and avoid the kiss. That's very costly on this one.
Yeah.
There you see it.
Ooh,
Long, short,
beautifully.
almost kissed. We just missed it by a hair.
And the thing that I really like about the style of Yaman's artistic playing is he always plays the shot with extra effect. He always has some extra when the cue ball comes to the red ball.
He's not a minimalist, that's for sure.
He's not a
There
minimalist.
are some players among
Well
us who try to do the minimum to reach the point.
Oh,
Second attempt is on it.
perfectly adjusted, a fraction thicker.
Well done. No kiss. So yeah, he usually has some extra tempo to make sure of the point.
First attempt.
There's the
Ooh.
kiss. Let's see if he can adjust. I think he hit it a little bit thin though to work.
Second attempt.
Second attempt for Marvin.
No.
Now we hit the pin on the way back, which obviously immediately cancels out any possibilities for a point.
Third and last attempt.
That looks good.
Way better.
That looks good.
That's on target.
Yes.
Back point. The gap of 9 points stays. We will move on to a more difficult shot with a coefficient of 8. It will be a draw around 3 cushions. In the meantime, Fabrice Lemel from France is our referee. He's setting up the shots. He's the head referee for Europe, usually involved in changing of the game. Very experienced. There you see the line. So basically short cushion, then draw back to the long cushion, and then coming from the short cushion onto the red ball. And since the white ball is quite close to the long rail, you need to elevate, which with too much force will immediately make the yellow ball jump. So you need to compose yourself and play with quality and not force. And that's usually the key in artistic billiards, having very good quality. Let's see. Second attempt.
Even though he hit it very well, he still didn't have enough draw on the cue ball, but he had extra of side spin, so that means that he can go a little lower, but will provide him more speed backwards and less spin sidewards. But
Third and last attempt.
we'll see how he plays it on his third attempt.
Yeah, that extra spin also helps on the first cushion, no, but on the second and third, it actually speeds up the ball.
Yes.
And basically pushes it into the direction of the red. Third attempt for Yaman. Wow, what a drawback.
He made a repetition on the short cushion there. It would have gone like a rocket towards the red ball if it didn't. There you see it hit the short cushion, and then a short cushion again.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can see it on his expression. It's a rare occasion.
Yeah.
Because that extra repetition of the cushion slowed it down.
Yeah.
Because it was spinning into the other direction, so the friction on the cloth.
Yeah.
It would have counted, but that would have needed much more draw.
Yeah, and that is only possible when.
You don't play for that.
Oh wow! What
That
do we
looks
have
good.
here?
Does it make it?
Oy,
Oh.
oy, oy.
But that was a very healthy attempt.
Yeah.
Good stroke.
Good way to start.
Single attempt.
Yeah, there you see he hit it too full. So the cue ball didn't hit the short cushion early enough. This is a shot that you would expect him to make, but under the pressure of a European final against no one else than Yaman, that makes the shot really hard for everyone.
Yeah, there's the miscue. It's a shame. Well,
this was a chance for him, and he will be kicking himself for that.
Yeah, still 9-point difference stays. It's still possible to catch the title for both of them. It's the first final for Marvin. He did play a semi-final before.
Yeah, in Brandenburg.
Yeah.
I don't remember what year.
It was 2009.
2009.
Yeah. He started playing artistic billiards around 2010. Joined his first competition in Germany in 2013. Participated in the nationals in 2014, and already in his first national game he made the bronze medal. And it took him another couple of years until 2017 until he made his first title. Since then he has acquired 3 more. Let's see. Yaman on the next shot. That's not valid because there's a mandatory cushion to be made before that carom. So the difficulty here is that you have a very close kiss and counter with the yellow ball in the corner. Then the cue ball needs to hit the short cushion, the long cushion, the short cushion, and then again the long cushion. Now you can see. So short cushion, long cushion, short cushion, and then mandatory the long cushion before the red ball. There you can see it. It's worth 7 points. So it is in the middle range in difficulty, but it's very delicate. You cannot force this one. That was with force, and it went too long. Or it was thin. You never know which one he was going for, because he might have missed on the thickness, he might have missed his intentions on the force side. It's always a mixture.
You'll see the referee having an extra red ball there, because in this game you'll see the whole table with stripes and circles and dots. Every ball has to be exactly measured, and this ball is exactly a ball from the cushion. Oh, this looks good. This looks good.
Yeah, the spin should take it there.
Oh yeah.
It did. Perfect. 7 points. And it's good that you mentioned the precision for this. Oh, look at that backspin, how it takes off. Just wonderful to watch.
Wonderful.
Now let's see. Heinrich on his first attempt.
Heinrich, first attempt.
He starts long as well. Regarding the precision, for those of you not yet familiar with artistic billiards, you see those numbers and dots drawn on the table. Those are very precise coordinates that have been placed before. Everybody in the world practices like that. Oh, this looks good.
Ooh, but
This might be there.
might be there.
Yes.
Oh, yes. 7 points. The 9-point gap stays.
That adds up to some confidence for Marvin, because you don't want to miss a few shots in a row. And especially not here, but he made it beautifully. Very delicate shot, very well played by both of these players. And now figure 56, one of my personal favorites. And you'll see why. This is a whip shot, the first whip shot we have in this match. And you'll see the balls are, well, closer than ½ centimeter apart. And you'll play this shot with a flexible shaft and a very loose back arm. So there you can see the pin, and you can see how close these balls are laying apart from each other. And now he has to make a legal contact hit on the yellow ball. And the only way to do that from this angle is to make it with a lot of side spin. And the cue deflects out of the way, and that leaves the cue ball with a lot of spin. Has to go to the long cushion, around the pin. in between the red. In between the red and the long cushion. Repetition on the long cushion, short cushion, back to the long cushion. Can you imagine?
It's worth 9 points for a reason. It's one of the most difficult shots in the program. And for those of you wondering, it is a legal shot because the loose grip and the flexible shaft and the way how you stroke. So this is a specialty of artistic players. It's not needed anywhere else, but there's a lot of slow motion videos on the internet proving that it is very much possible to not double hit either the white or the yellow.
Oh, that looks...
There was a curve, but it's so hard to find that gap. Because this shot is never the same. There are some shots that are very similar, they play very similarly on most tables, but you cannot get accustomed to this one. You always have to figure it out right then and there. Yeah. And that's what billiards is all about, not just artistic, adjusting to the current conditions. Even in 3 cushions, some tables play long, some play short. Or 9-ball or snooker as well. Slow or fast class. Third attempt for Yaman. And a miscue. And he's not happy with it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I've seen him make it very consistently throughout the tournament.
This is now a chance for Marvin to catch up. Exactly 9 points, close the gap.
Yeah, I've seen him make this shot
Make
against no one else than myself. Yeah, you can make it even, yeah.
Oh, you had the best seat in the house for that.
I had the best seat in the house, yeah. Yeah, it isn't often that you get a chance to catch up with Yaman throughout this whole tournament. After 2 sets, he was way in front of his opponents. He always won by percentages. Oh, what do we have here? Oh,
it was a nice curve, but didn't quite make it back to the long rail. Touched the red ball first. But it's a good start. It's something that you can try to think of adjusting.
Yeah, and as I was saying, Yaman, he played throughout the whole tournament. He played very good, very consistently, playing above 70%. And well, to play 70%, you can become a European champion. As he has proven, though, in the past. I remember in Belgium, don't know what year it was, but he won there the European champions once against Xavier Fonolosa from Spain. That was one of the videos that I watched 1,000,000 times when I started out playing artistic billiards, and I guess so did many other people. So it was a great final to watch.
It was 2008 in Keller, Belgium, but it wasn't a European championship. I just looked it up. It was a world championship.
Really?
Actually, that was his first world title for Yaman in 2008. He was just starting out in the scene. Nobody was expecting him to win, but he proved himself already back in the day. Since then, by the way, he made second the year after that in Kastamonu in Turkey. And he became a world champion once again in 2012 in Samsun. And since then, on the side, he also was a multiple-time Turkish champion in 2011 and 12, but the point hasn't been made, and now we go to the next shot. For 6 points. Short, short, long. It needs to repeat the short cushion again and then make the red ball.
Yeah, and this ball is a point for 6 points, but this shot is so much harder when you play on new cloth, as we see here. The cue ball has to hit the short cushion right before the long cushion to make it back to the short cushion into the red ball.
Because he repeats the cushions, that's not the issue, but you need to repeat it in a way that it goes as far away from the short cushion as possible. And for that, you need to really get into the corner, which makes it for the referees very hard to judge because the contact is sometimes very close. Did he repeat the short cushion or not? This is a delicate one, so you don't need a lot of force. Just a lot of quality and finesse. That is good. That's 6 points. Well deserved. The beers from the crowd. So, of course, on the home turf, or almost the home turf, so we are playing in Turkey. But Yaman is from Ankara. He has a billiard school there.
Yes.
One try.
Played.
One try from Marvin. The gap stays.
God, I hate this shot. Missed it endlessly this tournament. I couldn't get the good repetition there. Did you made it this tournament?
I played it only once, and I did not. But
That's why we're sitting here, I think.
yeah, this time we're sitting here. Well, both of us know how it feels to play in a semi-final of this event.
That's true. David played the semi-final of the European Championships in Gandia last year. And I played the semi-final back in 2000 and I don't know when.
19, no?
19 or something.
In Brandenburg.
Yeah.
All right, the next shot is a Massey. Cue ball and object ball are very close to each other, a maximum of 5 millimeters here. The difficulty coefficient is 8, and the objective is, after hitting the object ball, to slide before the imposed limit and then curve back to the red ball. You are not allowed to hit the long rail on the way there. You are allowed to hit the short cushion to make the red ball bigger. You are not allowed to slam into the long cushion, which can happen if you overdo it. That was hitting the limit, so no points. Again, red ball is being set up exactly one ball's width from the short cushion, because there the points might not be that super precise, so we use balls to make sure that it is a very consistent distance, so that the ball cannot pass through, which would be a no pointer even though you made a good shot. So that's the job of the referee. Third attempt for Yaman, 8 points. And no.
Yaman.
That's a good opportunity for Marvin.
Yeah, I've also seen him play this shot very good.
Yeah, it's a very makeable shot with his skills.
Yeah, you can see on Yaman's face he also expected him to make that shot. It is a shot for 8 points, but you see it made very frequently.
Yeah, some players, so the coefficients are a general difficulty, but since every player has his own style and type of stroke and also different cues, oh no, he touched the long rail. It becomes some shots you solve more. So there are players that solve 10 pointers more than 7 pointers. But it's the question here.
You very interestingly see Marvin playing with an open hand bridge on this Massey shot.
Yeah, that's quite unusual. Good point. Well done. 8 points.
That must have felt really good.
Now the gap is reduced to 1. And the average difficulty of a point is like 7.5. And therefore the previous gap was a bit more than 1 average figure. Now it's just 1 point. And I'm pretty sure it's not going to stay this way until the end. So there's plenty of action coming.
Well then, a Massey shot with how many meters is this? I think around 5 meters. You have to...
4 rails at least. 2 times the long cushion and short cushions as well.
Yeah,
so
5 rails actually, yeah. And the hard thing is to get the speed right, and your you have to have your cue very steep.
Long, short, long, short, long, and that's going very short. He's going to miss the red ball there.
Yeah, his speed was perfect, but he didn't have his cue steep enough. So after the long rail, it went almost directly into the right ball, into the red ball. So
super difficult.
Yeah.
Because this is why you are steep. Because
Yeah.
if you're flat, then you slam into the long rail, and that immediately propels your ball back to you, and if you have spin, then it goes to the red. If you don't, then it just goes to the long rail.
Yeah, you also don't want to have your cue too steep on this shot, because that increases your chance of double hitting the white ball.
Well, that's no good, because it needs to travel. So you need to generate so much spin, because some massé shots are a combination of slide and spin, and this is just spin. Spin it 5 rails along, 2 times around the table. It's like in 3 cushions, you also hit it with sufficient force. Imagine that being generated only by spin. So it's not unusual for this shot to leave burn marks right where you hit it, because you are steep and it propels each fiber around the cloth with an insane amount of power. It's worth 10 points for a reason. So it's one of the most difficult shots in the program. 3rd attempt for Yaman. That looks good.
Oh, that looks way much better.
Avoided the kiss as well, which can happen.
Does it reach the red ball after the long cushion?
It just does. 10 points.
You can see the relief on his face.
Great shot. Well adjusted. Just look at the strokes. Very long bridge.
Yeah,
how it took off. I mean, after the first rail. Small curve because it didn't really bite yet. And after the rail, losing some speed, the spin could generate the speed into the right direction. That's also very crucial too.
Yeah. Ooh, even though he miscued, he made a very good miscue.
Still legal if he makes it, but it's short. That's very rare. It's considered more of a lucky shot if somebody makes it with a half cat, as you say it in the Netherlands.
Definitely. And you'll see every artistic player has that block of sanding paper on it, and they use that every time when they miscue, because you leave a burn mark on your tip, and which increases your chances of making a miscue again. So that's a free tip for everyone listening. Is he going via the long rail?
Sure is.
Oh, beautiful.
10 points.
Well done, Marvin.
Great shot. Yeah, free tips here for anybody listening. It leaves the burn mark, and it also deforms your leather tip on top. So you want to have the curvature that you like, and you immediately put it back to that. And now we have a break of 5 minutes, since we have reached 14 points, which is the first half of the match. And we are going to go off the air for a bit and come back after 5 minutes.
Goodbye.
For 5 points, Yaman. First of them.
And we're back with a shot for 5 points. A nice collection shot, figure 1. As you see it displayed here from above. Yaman made it in his first attempt. Beautifully played. Perfect pacing. This also looks good. Great pace of the yellow ball. Beautifully played as well.
5 points. All right, there was in the break, there was a change of referees. Now we see Roger Everard from Belgium. Both referees are also players themselves, so they enjoy the game as much as anybody else. But they bring their expertise of years and years to the table with refereeing. Both have refereed World Championship finals as well, so they're not the least experienced, to say.
Yes.
Now we have a nice follow shot for the coefficient of 7 points. You are hitting with the white ball, the yellow ball, then the long rail, bounce off into the middle of the table, but at least around the limit, and then touch the long rail again. There's no need for a third rail, but oi, 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 is that a shot?
He could have put the limit way further on the table.
Yeah.
Wow, what a stroke from Yaman.
Very confident.
Yeah, something he is also really known for. Even among players themselves, everyone looks up to the stroke of Yaman with his very short forehand, and he really snaps the cue into the cue ball. Wow.
Yeah.
Great to see.
Such a short distance of the bridge hand and still such an acceleration, which is like unhuman. I mean, really, usually you see players with short bridge for small strokes, big bridge for big strokes, and he uses for big strokes a fairly small stroke. I mean, it's big for him, so he applies the same principles, but the level of acceleration and the spin he's able to generate, that's just immense. Let's see if Heinrich can replicate the 7 points. He doesn't need to overdo it like Yaman did. He was asking the referee to replace the ball because the exact spots are quite crucial, and he saw a millimeter of a difference. Oh, wow.
Well, we said he didn't have to play it as extreme as Yaman, but he did.
Very beautiful. I mean, it's just a pleasure to watch the ball spin like that.
Yeah,
look at that.
Yeah, we're also both smiling here at our commentating seats.
Yeah, because usually if you see the white ball travel that far out and not turn, because it was still traveling away from the limit, at least 20 centimeters before deciding with the spin to return back.
Yeah, I didn't thought it would come back, but well, it did. And it did it very good.
Great stroke.
Alrighty, what will we have here, David?
We have a 7-pointer. Cue ball hits the yellow, then curves before the limit to the short cushion, and then back to the long one and then for the carom. The difficulty here is figuring out the slide and the curve, which is very delicate, and then you have the additional difficulty of the yellow ball being in the way, so you need to avoid the kiss because it's lurking around just to touch the white ball before making the carom. Even if you made everything else correct, it might still up being in the way.
And that's why you try to hit this yellow ball as thin as possible. And even though it's half a centimeter away, you would say, well, that isn't too hard, but you try to hit it as thin as possible. Sometimes you'll even miss the second ball and you make the shot, and that's very frustrating.
Because since you didn't hit the yellow ball, no points. Some people prefer to play it fuller and then make their yellow ball go out of the way before it all happens. But those are differences in styles and probabilities, margins for errors.
Yeah, Yaman will probably now aim more towards the middle of the table. My aiming point for this shot is that I have my cue aligned somewhere between the second and the third diamond. As you'll see on the right hand side of your screen on the long cushion. And he was probably both too far to the left. He tries to slow it down more. Let's see what happens.
Slowing down is crucial. I mean, you get free tips from Job de Jong here, where to aim and how to play the shot, which is great.
It looks very hard. Oh, yes.
He still returned to the long rail way too low on the table. There was no possibility to reach the red ball from there. He has to think about that for a bit. But after the maximum of 3 attempts from Marvin, he will have to concentrate on the next shot immediately. So again, curve before the limit, curve back to the long rail, or slide before the limit more, then curve back somewhere where his leg is. Actually, that's quite good if he can come back to to that part. But it seems that the balls are sliding because during the break also the balls have been changed since they receive a massive amount of punishment, and they do get chalk marks on it, especially when miscues happen. It's the best to change the ball sometimes. As you can see,
That looks good.
that was very well curved, and there it is, 7 points. That takes Marvin into the lead for the first time in this match. 89 to 93.
Maybe even the first time this tournament that someone has a lead on Yaman. Pretty much every match I've seen him play, he gets in the lead very quickly and doesn't let it go. But now, well,
Yeah.
Marvin is in the lead. He's playing very good. Both players are playing good.
Yeah, and they make most of their shots, so I don't have a live calculation of their percentage, but it will turn out in the end, but they should be around 70-ish at least. Now we have a very difficult 9-pointer. Cue ball hits long, long, short, and then for the Carom. Let's see how he does. Yaman, first attempt. Long, long, short, and it goes long. It does have a lot of spin though, and speed, because that's one of the criteria that might hinder you from getting the point, to not reach the Carom. And this is a strange shot in the way that this is the only one of the artistic program where kiss is allowed. You can hit the red, which can hit the yellow, and then still the point counts, but this is a very special occasion. It's a 9-pointer for a reason. Controlling the curve, the direction looks really good. Oh yes. 9 points in the second attempt. Beautiful shot. Let's see it from top view. Look at that controlled curve, that he immediately finds the right direction, then the spin gives it a little bit more speed. He hits the yellow fairly full, but just enough to reach the red ball.
Yeah, and it is not uncommon to hit the yellow ball too full, so that the cue ball stops right in front of the door of the red ball.
And the referee grabs the ball before stopping when it is very clear that it will never reach its target. So you might see them grab the ball a little bit prematurely, but in reality, especially if the player signals it that it's over, then he might grab it. Well, these were fairly good shots in terms of spin and repetition of the cushion, but the direction needs still some adjustment. Let's see, can Marvin find that magic formula of direction, elevation, speed and spin? So difficult. That's not it. He knows it. The scoreboard knows it. Now advantage Yaman again with 3 points. Coming up to our next shot, which is a 5-pointer, but a very difficult one. Yeah. It's not solved so often. As you can see, cue ball hits the yellow ball, goes to the long rail, curves around the red ball, go to the other long rail, and then the red ball. You cannot hit it really hard, and you shouldn't, because then it's hard to control. But you also cannot really hit it soft, because then how in the world would you make that curve? Because if you don't curve, then you hit the red ball directly and no points. So a little bit of elevation, a little bit of speed. It's a finesse shot.
Yeah.
And because of this, since it's very different on every table, because it's impacted by the rebound of the rails and the stickiness of the cloth. See, this was too much reverse. He curved too early.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the least made 5-point shot. Figure 83.
I think it is. I think there's no other 5-pointer.
Maybe exceptions, 27.
27 might be,
Yeah,
but I vote for this one. miscue. That's costly. Now he has only one shot left to extend his lead and not allow Heinrich to take over. But they're still very close. Both of these players are playing a very good final. Only very few shots missed, and those that have been missed are very missable for everybody. So it's not the obviously doable ones, like the 60, for example, which we saw with the 4 questions in the corner. Third attempt. Curve too early. No points, even for Yaman. Not this time. Chance for Heinrich.
Even though it is 5 points, he has a good chance to get back in the lead.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like I'm repeating myself, but I've seen him play this shot very good, David.
Yeah, he can play it well. Can he adjust it well? Oh,
Oh,
wow,
yes, he
there
can.
it is. Look at that.
And there you hear, even though it's a 5-point shot, it's a favorite of the audience.
Look at that curve. He pulls it out into the middle of the table and then at the perfect line to just roll onto the red ball, because then it doesn't need much spin or tempo. Just finding the line from the middle of the table, it's so hard. And he had a really good startup shot. Here we have our next 8-pointer. It's a very difficult shot. Cue ball hits the yellow, goes to the long rail, the other long rail, and the short rail. It has an additional difficulty of having to use a lot of right-hand spin. But this one did not hit the long rail, I think.
Nope.
So he has to try again. And it becomes difficult because we say to every shot, because no artistic shots, it's easy.
No.
Just maybe easier or doabler if I really massacre the English language here. Because there is a high chance of a kiss 2 times.
2 times,
Yeah. After 2 rails and after 4 rails as well. Let's see. After 2 rails, no kiss.
This looks good.
4 rails, it's out. This is there. 8 points. Well done. Let's look at it from the top. There's a long rail, little curve, lots of spin.
Perfectly played, according to the book.
No questions there. Yeah, he's quite happy with it.
Heinrich.
Even though it's hard to see. Yeah, there you can see it. You have to hit it fairly full. This is why the first long rail is a bit of a question mark, and the referee stands in a very good spot to see it, if it happens or not, because you'll need to play like 4/5 full or like 90%, like almost full ball. Now the gap is 6. If he makes it, he's back in the lead again. Yes for the rail,
And there
there's
we
the
have the
kiss.
kiss. Would you adjust that shot if you would play it like that, or would you just think to yourself, well, played it very good, let's play it again?
I would adjust it, because why was there the kiss? I mean, the white ball was either slow or the yellow was slow. So one of those needs to get faster. So more spin,
Again.
but he didn't change. Or if he did, it canceled each other out. That can happen.
Well, I have to say, that's bad luck there. To hit it 2 times that good. And have the kiss, you can see him questioning himself, like, how did that happen?
Yeah. I understand your question, though, of would you change anything? Because sometimes it's such a small fraction that you are counting on your humanity to not be able to make it exactly that way, just very similarly, which is good, which should look good. And then you will avoid exactly that kiss. This is a good top view for the shot.
Yeah. One of my favorites, though.
It's beautiful.
I barely make it, though, but it's a beautiful shot. It's a draw shot, and you have to draw in between the long cushion and the red ball, and you have to make it long, short, long, back to the red ball. Lots of draw. Definitely 10 points worth.
Definitely.
Oh,
there
beautiful.
it is. He made it with 2 cushions, which still counts. because you need to come from short long. He overdid
Wow.
it so
Yeah.
cleanly.
Yeah.
Look at that.
You don't see that happening often. Oh, you'll see him like a magician.
Really hard to do.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Because it's one thing to go through the gap. It's another thing to really make that ball parallel in order to let the spin take
Yeah.
it to the red ball. But if you can draw it to the long cushion, that's like an extra challenge.
I was
So hard.
applauding in the commentary room.
Well done. Just a reflex and such good shots, right?
Jeez.
That's unconscious.
Unbelievably. All right, that was it. Well, so Marvin made a miscue on his first attempt, and that's a shame because the thickness is very important on this shot, and you try to learn as much as possible from each attempt that you'll play. And if you have a miscue, you've learned nothing. By the way, you're on your second attempt. And so now he has just one more attempt to adjust it a little bit thicker. But how much thicker? Well, you wouldn't know. You have to
You had
do
one
it by
miscue,
feel,
and
yeah.
you had one that was clearly very thin, so it
Yeah.
wasn't this spin. He just slammed into the long rail, which was definitely far to the right. So he needs to
And I've seen him.
find exactly
wow.
this. Oh my God!
He made it 3 times today. He made it against me this morning in the quarterfinal.
Yeah.
Then he made it again in the semifinal against his coach and teacher, actually, Thomas Adams. He played a very good match there, and he made it there as well. And now he makes it yet again. Wow.
He showed he can
Deeply
do
deeply respect for Marvin there.
it. Not really by correction, but by knowing what to do and then executing it as planned.
Yeah.
It's still a very important skill in this sport. Well, let's see how we're going to continue with the 5-pointer. Cue ball hits the yellow ball, then long, short, long, red. Why is this difficult? It's not so much because it's a 5-pointer. You don't need a maximum amount of spin. You don't need a maximum amount of speed either. You need to find the right quantity of the yellow ball. That's the key here, because if you don't, then you are risking a huge kiss right after or around the third rail. And you also need to have a curve that you need to find definitely with the top spin and the combination of top and right hand spin, as you need to come back to the red ball, because after the first 2 cushions you are going to go outside of the table and then you need to go back in. Well, referee is changing the ball as this is the marking of a new set.
Yeah, this is one of those shots that is easier to play when you have new material, like clean balls and slick cloth. When you play this shot on a short table, a table which has dirty balls and old cloth, it makes it very hard. But now with new balls and new cloth, you can see it beautifully spinning after 2 rails, because you hit it with right-hand English, and it has to keep having right-hand English after the first long and short rail.
That's
Also
right.
a beautiful shot. Even though it's 5 points, it's a beautiful shot.
Yeah, because it's delicate. It's not a force one. It's not about power. It's about finesse. That looks super good, but it was so close. You saw the spin not being enough to take it from the third rail. Let's see it again, because it is spinning like hell.
I think if you would have played it a little softer, it would have curved earlier, and it would have made it right to the red ball. Let's see if he
didn't have
adjusted
the chance to curve.
by speed or by thickness.
Yes. Very clear. He knew what to do to make it. Just a fraction of an adjustment. Because that's the hard part of artistic billiards, that you know, yeah, you need more spin or you need more curve, but no, knowing how to achieve that and then being capable of doing it, those are 2 very important aspects of the game that you both need to master to get anywhere in the sport. Heinrich, 1 try, very clear, 5 points. This is not the one to extend the lead.
Now we have yet another beautiful shot coming up. Yeah, we say for every shot it's either a beautiful shot or a hard shot, but every shot is hard and beautiful. But this is a whip draw shot along 3 cushions, and the thing what I really like about this shot that it slows down. It slows down right before the short cushion. At first you'll try to aim it somewhere between the red ball and the 4th diamond, and then it hits the long cushion, and then it must hit the long cushion yet again. And if one of those players makes it, watch it slow down, because that's so beautiful. And slow down.
There
And by effect, with an extra long rail. Beautiful play. And the audience likes it as well.
Just as you commented, as you predicted. Look at that, slowing down, making the angle, and then the spin taking it to the target.
He even collected it very nicely.
Yeah,
No extra points.
But yeah, every shot is beautiful and difficult, but we do have our preferences, and this is one of yours.
You'll see here Marvin played not with his whip cue, but with his regular cue. I always have the feeling when I play this shot with my regular cue, it's easier to get a spin on the ball and to get the repetition when you hit it good. But it's much harder to hit it correctly. Do you play this with your normal cue or with your whip cue?
Well,
Evan?
my whip cue is my normal cue.
Really?
Yeah, I play with a
Wow.
very flexible shaft. I started out playing pool and a little bit of snooker, and then ended up falling in love with artistic billiards, and I do play a modified 314 on a Brunswick Titleist conversion Willy Hoppe cue as my main playing cue.
There's the nerd David coming up.
Yeah, I do like material things. I'm not the fetishist to say, in the way that some artistic players do have a bunch of cues for a bunch of shots. Oh, that was a nice curve, but it maybe slowed it down too much. So no points for Heinrich.
That's a shame.
But while the next shot is being set up, we can take the time to really address the material side. So some players have 20 shafts with 10 butts, but I'm more on the minimalist side when it comes to play.
Me too.
It's you need different kinds. We'll get into detail along the match when we have the time, but now let's focus on this shot of a 7-pointer. Cue ball hitting yellow, jumping in front of the red ball, and then spinning back for a long, short, long, or short, long is also accepted.
Yeah, some people call these shots follow draw shots, because at first hand it looks like it follows, like it goes further than the. Oh, beautiful.
Wonderful.
And also with so much extra spin.
You can see it's not. It didn't just barely make it. It was very clear that it's there, even after the first bounces. You see that the curve taking off, and then you know it's there.
Zip. Yeah, it curves back until it hit the short cushion. Great shot.
Yeah.
Well, and you also you saw the sort of follow through. And the thing that I really like about this shot is you use the red ball as a limit instead of a.
Yeah, I prefer that as well. Because some people might be strange with why do you need limits? Well, you can use the red ball and then make it on every
he
normal
made it
table.
Very. He hit it.
Yeah,
Yeah, he hit it beautifully, almost too beautiful.
Yeah.
Curved perfectly around the red ball.
No touching of the red ball, touching the rails, but the spin wasn't enough, and the direction wasn't the easiest to reach that. This is why it's not enough to jump high enough or far enough, and then this is looking better.
Beautifully played.
Wow, there's the 7 points for Marvin.
To
Well
be
done.
able to adjust with those little fractions, well, that gives you earns you a spot in the final of this beautiful European Championships 2023.
Organized in Turkey. So, as you can see now, Marvin plays with 4 cues, and Yaman plays with 3. I think this is about the right amount. I mean, 4 could be necessary. 5 would be a standard for the or average, and 3 is a bit on the minimalist side, because you definitely need one for massé shots. That's a short and heavy and rigid cue, no question. Otherwise, you risk your material breaking. Oh, this is one of my favorites.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Look at that curve after the yellow ball. It needs to curve. Short rail, long rail, short rail for a 10-pointer.
Yeah, this is also an interesting shot to try at home, because you don't really need that much of a hard stroke, and it's very easy to set up. You just need your first ball in the second diamond, your second ball at the second diamond, or, well, at the, what is it?
Yeah, they're both touching the rails.
Yeah, and the red ball in the corner. And you have to draw it into the short rail, long rail, short rail.
And it's a delicate shot, so you don't hit it hard, so you can really practice it at home without the risk of damaging your tables. You're not going to do anything, you're almost. You're just going to develop a feel for this curve, which might come in quite handy if you play a lot of 3 cushion as well.
True.
So
that is true.
It's one fun shot to practice, and variations might come up. There's a very special case though, and this one, which I hate when it goes, because the red ball is one ball away from the long rail, but 1.5 balls away from the short one. So there's enough space to go in and out if you fail to put enough speed on it. Third attempt for Yaman, 10 points. Will he make it?
Oh,
wow.
Yes, so beautifully played.
Look at that curve. And the ovation is well deserved.
Such a pressure ball to make it in your third attempt. You really want to make this in your first or second attempt, because in the third attempt there's so much pressure on you there.
Very clear how he made it. Just love this. This is a bit thin for Marvin for the first try.
Also a bit hard. You saw Yaman played it very softly. And Heinrich played it also very hard against me.
And also against Arends.
Yeah, and he missed it in both matches. Let's see if he'll adjust.
Against Arends it wasn't. Whoa. And this is how you do it fast.
I'm not sure if he made it though. Yes, he made it. Well, because it has to hit the short cushion, long cushion, and I'm doubting it hit the short cushion yet again. We can see it maybe in the replay.
It's hard to judge from here, but this is what
Short
we have referees for.
I didn't saw it. Well, maybe some of your guys watch it later on YouTube can slow it down even more than what we saw there. But I think he made it.
Sometimes the line of rebound shows if it's possible with that amount of spin that is visible, but this is what we have referees for.
Yeah.
And he counted it, so.
And he can see it better than we can.
Well, this is a nice little cute massé shot.
Cute.
Often played in exhibitions. Yeah, because it's a 6-pointer, and if you explain it, what the objective is, you don't need to hit the long rail by necessity or by regulation. It's just out of making the shot easier that you put the left spin on. Otherwise, you just hit the yellow and go back for the red. Yeah. And you elevate the cue, because if you don't, then you have a huge kiss when if you would play it like flat, like horizontal. So.
It's good to see more audience coming up. It's the only match now available to see here, not only on Kozoom, but also in this beautiful arena. Oh wow, he made me hit that shot, that long cushion 5 or 6 times. And cool, calm, collected, he walked back.
Very unusual in normal Carom play.
We can see it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 long cushions.
You want to zip it back, but just nail it to the cushion with the side spin. I expect Marvin to repeat this effort.
You can count along at home.
This was thin.
And the hard thing about this shot, at least for me, is when I don't hit the yellow ball fully, I'm not always sure if I'll either hit the cue ball directly into the long rail, or if I play directly the shot into to the right. And that's a difficult thing to be sure of.
It's hard to learn. So
It's hard to learn.
You either, some players use a spotter or like a training buddy.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, this will count 6 points. Wonderful. Well done.
Yeah.
Well, some people use a spotter or a training partner to spar with, but I have also played in locations where you have mirror available, just like in billet.
Interesting. So
And
there are now some free tips from David.
Yeah, if you have the time and place on your club or your home to put the mirror in the right place, then you can easily see at the setup part whether you stand correctly.
Interesting. Yeah.
Delivery is then another question. You might tend to go with the cue to the left or to the right or with the butt, and it's also very risky because it's very easy to hit the cushion and then rip the cushion.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
for amateurs, I would recommend not starting, must say, training with this one, definitely, because you don't. These guys don't ruin the table. You and I don't either, because there are no holes. It's heavy on the material, but we don't rip cloth. We don't.
One attempt.
Ruin
Oh, what a stroke!
The rubber.
What a stroke! What a speed!
All the points.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about this shot is that your aiming point is now not at the ball. Your aiming point is at the cushion.
It's cushion
and
first.
Some people really play the shot methodically. They have their aiming point somewhere around the second diamond, and then they adjust every shot. And other people really play it by feel. And yeah, I'm definitely on a methodical side here.
Me too.
You too, yeah.
I don't like taking chances. It's the delivery that counts. But yeah, it's cushion first, so you don't have something exact to aim at, and it's not just the curve that you want to have after that and the backspin that takes it there. So it's bottom right for sure on how you play it. Some people prefer it with more spin than draw. Some people draw more than spin. But what they all need to accomplish is avoid the kiss, because if you hit it in a way that the yellow ball goes into the middle of the table, then it's going to, oh, this one. This one was a bit risky, but it does count. 8 points for Marvin. That was quite exciting. Both of them played it very beautifully.
Ooh, there I am again. Yet another favorite. A horrible shot to play, but also so lovely. This is a shot people remember, even people who don't play artistic billiards or only have seen it one time. This was back in the early days, the last shot everyone played, and it's for 10 points. And if it if we would have given more points, then it could have gotten more points, obviously, because this is a shot which need no cushions at all, but perfect speed, and perfect effect.
And it needs to travel very far.
Very far.
Because the limit is so far away. You cannot hit the short rail. You are allowed to hit the long one, though, on your way there. Like that. So this would have counted. But counted. However, it was actually more points worth back in the old days, when it was only 68 figures before the 90s. It counted as 11 points, and the lowest score was then 4 for a shot. But in the 90s, the Players Committee created the still standing range of shots of.
This is also a chance for Yaman to really take a comfortable lead. He's now heading with 12 points, 13 points actually. Oh.
13 points, which is, as we said, approximately two figures,
yeah,
for sure. I mean, 2 small fivers were not going to do it, but.
Oh, nice angle we have from here. You can exactly see it go alongside the long cushion, and it almost seems like the long cushion was just a centimeter too far to the right, to say it like that, because it was still curving when it hit the long rail. So he just has to play it just a touch softer. We'll see what he does.
You can hear a pin dropping in the room right now. Not enough curve at the right time.
No points for the effort, no points for the shot.
Great chance for Heinrich though.
Yes. He would love to make this shot.
More than the others. This is where he can really catch up and get into a safe distance of just needing a small mistake from Yaman. Because now he needs a big one. And this is not really a mistake. This is a low percentage shot, even for the good guys. First attempt, Marvin.
Oh, what happened? Oh, no.
There was a curve. He found the gap, but direction needs some adjustment.
Again, uses the open hand bridge because you really need to hit it soft.
And with finesse. This was a nice curve. You saw that was 90 degrees that I really like to see, but it was just missing 2 to 3 centimeters to just go beyond the imposed limit, straight to the target. Just so far down the table. And this is why it requires not just going around the limit, but accuracy in the final direction of the ball rolling. Well, he was once close with one of his attempts. Good effort.
And he shouldn't be mad at himself. It's such a difficult shot.
No, I think he accepts. They both accepted.
Yeah, they both accept it. But those are the shots that can make it or break it at venues like this, and especially on levels like this. You really talk now about the shots that you've missed instead of that you talk about the shots that you make. Those players make so many shots.
Yeah, when you start out with artistic billiards, you are happy that you make one or the other, and then it gets more and more and more, and after a while you are capable of making all of them. But in the competition, being capable and doing it are two very different things. The next shot is a 5-pointer, by the way.
And we're already in our last set. This is set M. There are 7 figures per set. And as always, we'll start with a 5-point shot. Also, yet another delicate 5-point shot. But that means that in this set there are around 50 points available. And yeah, we're close to knowing who the winner of this match will be. And well, I can't make a guess yet. Yaman is in front, but not too much. Just 2 figures.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, he played it quite beautifully. It needs to follow a little bit after the contact on the second ball, and then curve around the red ball, going then short and long. And it's hard to find that perfect line, because you can get like this, and then you draw it to the long rail. So, and it also can go wide, and then miss it on the other side. So this looks fairly doable, even for beginners. But
and it is sort of doable.
It is.
It's not one of the more technical stroke shots, but as I said, a delicate shot.
You don't need much spin. This is a lot of spin he puts on it. And you don't need a lot of force either. So again, it's good for beginners. And if the distance stays the same, then we might not see the last figure of the distance that we have to play, because there are 35 figures for this match. And it might be over.
Too thin.
This is the one I was talking about.
Yeah.
Going wide, adjusting too much. Now the gap extends. This is now 18 points, which is exactly the amount that the last 2 shots are worth, because
That's
it's
true.
a 10-pointer and an 8-pointer.
But first another shot for 7 points, a force follow shot over 4 cushions. Cue ball has to hit like around 80% of the yellow ball. Hits the long cushion, then the short cushion, then again the short cushion, and with the extra side spin that you give, it has to hit mandatory that long cushion to make the shot. Perfectly executed by Yaman.
Yaman helped you during your explanation. That was so good. He just made it exactly how you said it.
He was listening.
One.
He was listening good.
He had the same intention.
Wow.
Very stable 7 points for Yaman.
For Yaman now is just key to make the shots, to keep leading. And for Marvin is just hoping for a slip.
Yes.
They both need only one attempt, which is not unusual, but also it says so much about the level these guys are at. I mean,
next shot, one of a favorite of most people who look at this game. It's the only shot of all the 100 figures that actually has a name. Maybe David can explain why it's called the Jimmy shot, but what you can see it's that you'll have to hit the long cushion twice and the short cushion twice.
this is the rare occasions where the order of the cushions is not mandatory, so it's only both of them need to be repeated. And of course, as always in artistic billiards, you can have more and more, which often is the case, especially with the long rail. So you might see a 7 or 8 rail shot on this one. Cue ball and yellow ball a maximum of 5 millimeters away, very close, very elevated here.
Yeah. And what also makes this shot extra hard is that
this looks good.
That looks very good.
But what makes this shot very hard, and you saw in this cue on his first attempt, which you rarely see him ever do on Massé shots, and that's because you have your bridge hand floating in the air, and because you have it floating in the air, you have nowhere to have your hand on.
You need to keep it stable.
You need to keep it stable, and some people, like Marvin, you see him do, keep their hand on their vest. Marvin really needs to make this shot to
4 rails, but
played it well, but
not in the direction of the red ball on the final rollout. But he plays this shot well.
Second attempt.
Last attempt for Marvin.
see the focus on his face.
7 points. Now the lead is, if I see this correctly, 25, which is going to stay 25. That means that the next shot, if Yaman makes it, he will extend his lead beyond reachable.
So this is the first match ball we'll see in this match.
Wait a second, because because there are then even if Marvin makes the next shot, so they both make the 10-pointer, which is very difficult. Then only 25 points would be left, and only 24 would be available on the last 3 figures. So yeah, match ball.
Wow.
Match ball Yaman.
And what a ball is this?
This is so good to explain, because this is where the white ball goes crazy. White ball hits the yellow, then it goes long, 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 back and forth, and after the third long, it takes a deep curve and goes to the short rail, then the long rail again, and then for the red. 10 points, very hard to play. Lots of speed. Long, long, long cushion, long cushion, and this is the additional problem that you need to counteract somehow.
Played it so
The
beautifully.
kiss. Yeah, it was on the right line.
Do you think he knew? Yeah, it was perfect. But do you think he knew it is his match ball?
I mean,
And he could have seen his
players
his trophy
calculate
slipping
along the way.
Yeah.
I'm one of those guys that likes to count because it helps me stay focused, but some just like to play and wait. Now referees. Also making sure, because the referee himself, he cannot count. He's way into setting up the balls. That needs a lot of concentration. That's what the writers are for, the score keepers.
Yaman for the championship.
Long, 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 short, long, no kiss. Oh,
Yet again.
this looked still good. It was a different line, but look at the consistency he can make on this shot with the white ball. Even the good players sometimes struggle with this shot.
Third and last attempt.
Every Turkish heart is pumping right now. Too much spin. Brought it to the short rail after the second long. Yeah,
Gets
a missed
another
opportunity.
Marvin gets another lifeline there.
Yeah, but it's a lifeline because he's running out of figures because the distance is short. So he cannot afford to miss on this one anymore because it's do or die.
He has to make this shot, and he knows it.
And Yaman knows it as well. He might win by sitting down. That can happen because of all the efforts he did before. It's great
Beautiful
that
to
he
see
can
him smile still.
Because you need to cooperate with the referee to get the right distance, to set the shot up correctly, and he can still crack a smile. Long, 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 short, long, no sign of a kiss. Oh, it was a centimeter at max. It wasn't a hair, but it made everything right. Long, long, another long, short, lots of spin, lots of speed. Look at that.
Oh, it's so close.
It goes above the shadow, basically. So close. Lots of force. He hit the forced long rail. But it is a way to correct. It can happen. Sometimes it's the nerves. Sometimes it's exactly what you wanted to perform in execution. But only Marvin knows what goes on in his head. Fabrice Lamel doing everything he can to make the shot as likely as possible within the regulations, of course.
Alrighty, there we go.
All or nothing here. Long, long. Yaman is European champion in 2023.
Yes. Great player. Great personality.
Final. Hugged by the Turkish president and his supporters. Marvin played a very good.
Very good. A true finalist. But here we'll see Yaman consistently playing exceptionally high throughout the tournament and deservable winner of this 2023 European Championships.
Yeah.
There you see him lifting his arms.
There was not a risk along his way. He played very stably above 70. I think he will have a general average of above 70.
Yeah.
There was no real danger for him on his way to the final. And in the final, it was oftentimes close. Here's the last
yet
shot
another
of
replay. Just didn't make it the other long cushion. Too long, and you'll see the letdown on his face. And in the other hand, you'll see, of course, Yaman deservingly happy and proud. And Marvin, being a great sportsman, goes directly to Yaman.
Yaman also respectfully tapping his back. It's great to see such sportsmanship amongst the players.
Yeah, we'll see other world champions congratulating Yaman on his title. Deservedly happy. What a match.
The new European U25 champion at 3 cushion is also congratulating his countrymen.
Well, and that's about it for this European Championships artistic billiards here in this beautiful location here in Antalya. We thank you all for watching and seeing this beautiful game, as we love to commentate on it and we love to view it all so much. And we'll hope to see you another time live here in the arena for another championship, or otherwise from your comfortable couch at home. I'm Jong, and next to me is David Keller.
It was a pleasure to be here, pleasure to commentate, and a pleasure to watch this match. Hope to see you soon.